The galaxy whispered one name with dread: the Varela. A tribe of tall, fierce alien females armored in black and silver. Their warships were said to blot out suns. They never negotiated, never begged for peace. When their fleet arrived in orbit, whole planets surrendered without a fight. It was better to give up than face their fury. But Captain Elias Kane had heard all those stories and smiled. He was not a soldier anymore. Not really. Once he had fought in Earth's frontier wars, surviving battles where others had fallen. Now he was a traveler, a man with a small ship called Wanderer's Edge. Most pilots avoided the Varela border. Elias deliberately flew closer. "Warning, Varela space ahead," his ship's AI said calmly. "Good," Elias replied, leaning back in his pilot chair. "Let's meet the neighbors." His friends back on Earth had called him reckless. Some said he was looking for death, but Elias had a different reason. He believed fear made enemies stronger. If no one ever stood up to the Varela, they would keep spreading their power unchecked. Someone had to look them in the eye. It did not take long. One moment the stars were empty. The next, a massive Varela dreadnought appeared from hyperspace, black hull shining like obsidian, its glowing engines casting a pale light across Elias's cockpit. Then came two smaller escort ships moving into position like predators surrounding prey. "Unidentified craft," a voice boomed over comms. The language was harsh, but his translator made sense of it. "You have entered Varela territory. Power down engines and prepare for boarding." Most pilots would panic. Elias simply nodded. "Tell your commander I request an audience," he said, his voice steady. There was a pause, then rough laughter over the comms. "Bold words for prey. Very well, do not resist. We are taking you in." Moments later, tractor beams gripped his ship and pulled it into the vast hangar of the dreadnought. The Wanderer's Edge landed with a soft hiss. Elias stood, checked the blaster on his hip, then deliberately removed it and set it on the console. He walked down the ramp unarmed. Dozens of Varela warriors waited for him. They were tall, strong, their black and silver armor polished to a mirror shine. Each carried a spear-like weapon that crackled with energy. But what caught Elias's attention most were their eyes, glowing, sharp like molten gold. The nearest warrior stepped forward. "Human, you come without a weapon?" she asked in disbelief. "I came to talk," Elias said, calm as ever. They took him through long metallic corridors, past banners of silver claw marks and murals showing the tribe's victories. Most prisoners would have been dragged, but Elias walked on his own. The Varela glanced at him curiously, whispering in their language. Finally, they reached a great hall. At its center stood matriarch Kailara, leader of the Varela. She was taller than all the others, her armor etched with glowing patterns. A black cape flowed behind her as she stepped forward. Her voice was deep and commanding. "You are brave or very foolish human," Kailara said. "Do you know who I am?" "Yes," Elias replied, meeting her gaze without flinching. "You're the one everyone fears." The hall fell silent. No one spoke to Kailara like that. Kailara tilted her head slightly, her golden eyes narrowing. "And you do not fear me?" Elias gave a small smile. "No, fear clouds judgment. I came here because I want to understand why you fight." Some of the warriors hissed angrily. Others looked curious. Kailara, however, did not strike him down. Instead, she stepped closer until her shadow fell across him. "You walked into the heart of my fleet," she said slowly. "No weapons, no army behind you. Either you are the bravest human I have ever seen, or the most foolish." "Maybe both," Elias said. Kailara stared at him for a long moment. Then, unexpectedly, she laughed, a deep, echoing sound that made the hall tremble. "Interesting," she said. "Very well, human. You want to understand us? You will earn the right." Elias raised an eyebrow. "How?" Kailara's expression turned serious again. "You will face the trial of strength. Survive it and we will speak. Fail and you will die, but with honor." The warriors cheered at her words. The trial of strength was a sacred test, one no outsider had ever attempted. Elias did not look away. "Then let's begin," he said. Kailara gave a fierce smile. "At dawn, prepare yourself, human. Tomorrow the Varela will see if your courage is real." As the warriors led him away to a holding cell, Elias felt the first spark of excitement. This was exactly what he had hoped for. A chance not just to speak, but to prove that humans were not weak. Far away, deep in the starry void, the galaxy waited to see if one man's courage could stand against a tribe feared by all. And Elias Kane smiled, because fear had never been part of his plan. The next morning, Elias stood in the Virela training arena. The air was cold, filled with the sound of drums. Hundreds of warriors had gathered to watch. They stood on high platforms, their glowing eyes focused on the lone human in the center. The arena floor was a wide circle of black metal. Strange machines lined the edges, some shaped like spinning blades, others like massive mechanical beasts. The trial of strength was not just one fight. It was a series of tests meant to break even the bravest warrior. Kaylara appeared on a high platform, her black cape flowing like smoke. "Human," she called, her voice echoing through the arena. "You asked to understand us. Today you will earn that right, or die trying." Elias nodded once. "I'm ready." The drums stopped. The first challenge began. Trial 1. The bladed gauntlet. From the ground, metal pillars rose, each tipped with spinning blades. They began to move, crossing the arena like a deadly maze. Most beings would run, but Elias crouched low, studying the pattern. The blades were fast, but they moved in rhythm. Timing, not strength, was the key. He sprinted forward, weaving through the first row. A blade sliced the air just inches above his head. He rolled, ducked, and slid, moving with careful precision. The Virela watching were silent at first, then murmured as he cleared the maze without a single cut. He did not look back, just stood tall at the end. Kaylara's eyes glowed brighter. "Not bad, human." Trial 2. The Iron Beasts. The next challenge rose from the floor. 3 huge mechanical beasts with claws like swords and glowing red eyes. They charged at Elias at once. He could not overpower them. He had no weapons. Instead, he used speed. He dodged left, letting one beast slam into another. Sparks flew as their metal bodies crashed. Elias climbed onto the back of one beast, pulled loose a panel, and ripped out a glowing power core. The machine froze and collapsed. The crowd roared with approval. Kaylara leaned forward, her expression unreadable. This human fought not with raw strength, but cleverness. Trial 3. The duel. The last challenge was personal. A Virela warrior stepped into the arena, her armor shining, her energy spear crackling. She was easily twice Elias's size. "Face her," Kaylara ordered. Elias picked up a simple wooden staff offered by one of the guards. The crowd went quiet. The warrior struck first, her spear slicing through the air with blinding speed. Elias barely dodged, the staff spinning in his hands. He had fought skilled soldiers before, but the Virela's strength was incredible. Instead of matching her strength, Elias used balance. He sidestepped, redirected her strikes, and waited for an opening. Finally, he swept her legs and knocked her to the ground. But instead of striking a finishing blow, Elias planted his staff in the ground and stepped back. The arena went silent. The warrior rose, breathing hard, and gave a short nod of respect. She stepped aside, letting Elias pass. Kaylara stood, her golden eyes burning. "You could have struck her down." "Why didn't you?" "Because I didn't come here to kill anyone," Elias said, wiping sweat from his brow. "I came to prove that humans can stand with you, not against you." For a long moment, Kaylara said nothing. Then she raised her hand, and the entire arena erupted in a roar of approval. "You have passed the trial of strength," Kaylara declared. "Few outsiders would dare. None have ever succeeded." Elias bowed his head slightly. "Then will you tell me why you fight?" Kaylara's fierce expression softened. She stepped down from her platform, walking toward him. The crowd fell silent again as she spoke. "We fight because we must," she said. "There is an enemy coming, one far worse than us. We call them the Silencers. They do not conquer, they erase. Whole planets vanish when they arrive. We have been preparing for years, gathering strength so we will not be destroyed." Elias's face hardened. "And you think scaring the rest of the galaxy will help?" Kaylara's voice turned sharp again. "If they fear us, they stay away. If they stay away, they live longer." "Fear is our shield," Elias understood now. The Virela were not just conquerors, they were survivors. But their way had made them hated and alone. When the Silencers finally came, no one would stand with them. He took a deep breath. "You don't need fear," he said. "You need allies. Let me help you." Some warriors murmured angrily, but Kaylara raised her hand to silence them. "You are bold, human, but why should we trust you?" Before Elias could answer, a deep alarm blared through the dreadnought. The entire ship shook as if struck by a massive force. "Matriarch!" a warrior shouted. A silencer fleet has appeared, ahead of schedule. The crowd's roar turned to silence. Even the fearless Varela looked uneasy. Kalara's expression hardened. Ready the fleet. We meet them in battle. Then she turned to Elias. This is your chance, human. Will you run away like the others? Elias stood tall, his voice calm but strong. No. I came here to face you. Now I'll face them. Kalara studied him for a moment, then gave a sharp nod. Then fight beside us. Show the Varela what a human can do. The warriors roared their approval, pounding their weapons against the metal floor. Elias felt adrenaline surge through him. He had wanted to prove humans were not weak. Now he would prove it in the greatest test of all. War against a threat that terrified even the most feared warriors in the galaxy. The great warship of the Virela shook as alarms echoed through the halls. Outside the viewports, dark shapes appeared, cold, silent, and sharp. The silencer fleet had arrived. Unlike other enemies, the silencers made no sound, sent no warnings, and demanded nothing. Their ships were black wedges, almost blending with the stars, glowing faintly with strange white energy. Wherever they went, worlds turned dark. Elias stood on the command deck next to Kalara, watching the enemy fleet spread across the stars. His heart raced, but his face stayed calm. Kalara pointed at the display. They are too many. If we strike head-on, we will be destroyed. Then we don't strike head-on, Elias said. We fight them smart. The Varela commanders looked confused. Smart? One asked. Elias moved to the holographic table and began rearranging the glowing markers representing the Virela fleet. Your ships are powerful, but you always fight in a direct line, he explained. That makes you predictable. The silencers will know where you are before you fire. We need to confuse them. He quickly drew a plan. Split the fleet into several groups, use decoy beacons to fake positions, and attack from 3 directions at once. This is risky, Kalara said. It's better than charging in and dying, Elias replied. If you trust me, we can win. Kalara's golden eyes locked with his. Then she nodded. Very well, human. The fleet will follow your plan. The battle begins. The Varela fleet scattered into the void, moving into Elias's formation. The silencers began to advance, their ships glowing brighter as they powered weapons. Launch decoys, Elias ordered. Small pods shot from the Varela ships, broadcasting false signals. The silencers turned toward the fake positions, opening fire. Massive beams of white light cut through empty space. Now strike, Elias shouted. The real Varela ships attacked from the sides. Their black and silver hulls seemed to appear out of nowhere as they fired glowing plasma cannons. Explosions lit up the void as several silencer ships were destroyed before they could react. The command deck erupted in cheers. The Varela were winning the first round, but the silencers adapted quickly. Their fleet turned, forming a deadly wall of fire. Varela ships were hit, shields failing, metal tearing. The crew grew tense as the battle turned dangerous again. Elias stayed calm. Group 3, fall back behind the asteroid field, he ordered. Group 2, chase them toward the rocks. The Varela followed his orders. Soon the silencers were forced into the asteroid field, where their big guns could not aim easily. The Varela used the rocks for cover, striking from different angles like hunters. Kalara gripped the edge of the command table, her eyes shining. Your plan is working, she said. Not done yet, Elias said. Bring the flagship around. We're going to hit them from behind. The turning point. The Varela flagship roared forward, its massive guns blazing. At the same time, the other groups attacked from the sides. The silencers were caught in a crossfire. One by one, their ships began to explode. Bright white light filled the dark void, then faded to nothing. But then the largest silencer ship appeared, a massive dreadnought 10 times the size of the others. Its white core pulsed like a star, and its weapons charged for a devastating strike. If that fires, we're finished, a Varela commander said. Elias took a deep breath. Then we stop it before it fires. He turned to Kalara. Take me to a strike ship. I'll lead the boarding team. Kalara stared at him. That ship is death. Then let's show them what death means when humans and Varela fight together, Elias said. Kalara's fierce smile returned. Very well, human. We fight side by side. Boarding the dreadnought, Elias and Kalara boarded a small assault craft with a team of elite Varela warriors. They weaved through enemy fire and slammed onto the dreadnought's hull. The warriors cut through the airlock and the team stormed inside. The corridors were eerily silent, lit by white glow. Strange mechanical drones appeared, attacking with blinding speed. Elias fought with his rifle, Kelara with her spear. They moved like a single unit, human quickness and Varela strength side by side. One by one, they cut down the drones and pushed toward the ship's core. Finally, they reached the control chamber. The glowing core pulsed faster, ready to fire. "Cover me!" Elias shouted. He ran to the control console, pulling out wires and placing a small explosive charge from his belt. Kelara and the warriors held the doorway as more drones attacked. Energy spears clashed with metal claws, sparks flying. Elias finished setting the charge and ran back. "Time to go," he shouted. They sprinted back to the assault craft and launched away just as the explosive went off. Behind them, the silencer dreadnought's core overloaded, exploding in a blinding flash that lit up the entire battlefield. When the light faded, nothing remained of the massive ship.